Will you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Trustees School Town of Speedway meeting for September 10, 2024. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which was August 13th, 2024.
I move that we approve the minutes from August 13th, 2024.
Wonderful.
I'll second.
Thanks so much. Any discussion on those minutes? Okay. All in favor of approving last month's minutes indicate by raising your hand. And that passes 4-0. Thank you.
Minutes are signed.
Great. The second item on our agenda is a report on the advanced placement program. Guessing, Mr. Borum, you're here to talk to us about that.
Yes, I am. Good evening. As always, it's an honor to stand before the board and this community to discuss Speedway High School's unprecedented academic achievement through College Board's Advanced Placement Program. This evening, I want to be brief with my comments, but and not just simply give you a historical background of our AP program, or just read to you this past May's AP results, which you will readily find in your packets. Instead, I want to briefly articulate tonight areas of growth for our expanding AP program and connect May's AP results to where our AP program is moving in the near future. As everyone knows, Speedway High School is a minority-majority school with a diverse demographic of a percentage of students and a high percentage of students on free and reduced lunch. Yet 2024 should be the 6th consecutive year that Speedway High School is named an AP District Honor Roll. The AP District Honor Roll recognizes school districts committed to increasing access to AP programs for underrepresented groups while simultaneously maintaining or increasing the percentages of students earning AP scores of 3 or higher. To give you some context, the metrics used to determine this recognition is at least 25% of students earning a qualifying score in a given cohort. Speedway is not only truly committed to increasing access, we want our students to succeed and feel supported. And so what we have done over the years, you've heard me talk about open access for several years with our AP program, and I really believe we've transitioned to encouraged access. We actually encourage our students to take these rigorous courses, and I think we've created an academic culture and climate where students feel supported and capable. To just give you a brief story, I had an incoming freshman parent who was concerned about our student taking AP World History along with our honor prep classes, and the student did extremely well at our middle school, and I assured the parent that her student, she was going to be prepared well, she would be supported, and she would still be able to participate in band and any extracurricular activities that she may be interested in. And then I saw that same parent at our back to school night, and she said that her student had really settled in. She was glad that she had taken those courses, and does not feel overwhelmed and feel supported by her teachers and is in the right placement. And that's the kind of climate and the culture we want to create. It is not at all odd for a student to take multiple AP classes, particularly their junior and senior year. We have some students senior year that are enrolled in 7 AP classes. So just to give you some background on our program. But also what we have done, we've redesigned our curriculum where 90% of our student body at least takes one AP course. And now I will kind of refer back to your packet that you have in front of you where you see these numbers, and I'll kind of go over the highlights so from 2024 and give you some actual numbers for this current academic year. In 2024, 97% of Speedway High School seniors took an AP exam in 2024. So 111 students out of 115 students. That is more than 2 times the state average, as you can see, 97% versus 35%. 61% of the class of 2024 earned a qualifying score before graduating. That's the most in our history. And again, the AP honor roll is based off of the metric of at least 25% of a particular cohort earning a qualifying score. And we're doubling that score, over double that score easily this past May. In the percentage of total students earning a qualifying score, the total amount of students 9 through 12 is the most since the post-pandemic. We're at 51%. Moving for this upcoming school year, and we have a very large student body at Speedway High School, the largest that we've had at the high school since I've been there. And so if 439 students out of 596, 74% of the Speedway High School student body are currently enrolled in an AP course for this upcoming school year. And 98% of the senior graduating class of 2025 aren't enrolled in at least one AP course. So we continue to trend in a positive direction with, I think, this unprecedented program to make sure that our students have a viable, rigorous curriculum and that they are prepared for whatever they choose to do when they leave high school, whether that is the military, whether that is workforce, entering the workforce, or going to a 2-year, 4-year college. We want our students to be well-rounded, critical thinkers that can analyze and synthesize information, and we feel as though our students have really benefited from being a part of this program. Briefly, again, on that second page, I actually included, this is different from last year, the breakdown of the ethnicities, and again, looking at our qualifying scores, because even when you have these great numbers, you're always kind of digging in the weeds or trying to squeeze out additional performance. So we're looking at these numbers and looking at our students by demographics. And if you were to, again, just compare this to the metrics for the AP honor roll, each one of our subgroups would be over that 25% metric to be an AP honor roll, to be an AP district honor roll, regardless of ethnicity. So again, I wanted to point that out to the board and make sure that you were aware of that. So again, this commitment to our student, I think, has been expressed in a variety of ways, but to you, the board, and this community member, and the community members of this town who have made a financial commitment to make sure that our students don't have to pay for AP exams, as well as our incentive program, I would like to say thank you. To our teachers and our entire staff in Speedway, thank you for the day-to-day work they do to make sure that our students are prepared and confident and capable to take these courses, and not only take them, but pass these exams. So again, I can open it up for questions now, and anything that you have, I hopefully can answer.
I've been glad that the camera wasn't facing me, because I have this like crazy grin on my face, which I was waiting for you to like I can't even look at you because I can't. I mean, I just about can't stand it. And I think the thing for me that I want to make sure gets said out loud is that I'm not sure how many years ago, you might have somewhere how many years ago, you and I had a conversation, and I said, this is great. Whoa, you guys keep bringing bigger numbers. But until you're going to show us that a breakdown of students, that this group is performing better, and this group is performing better, and this group is performing better, I'm impressed, but I'm not wowed. And I mean, you guys have wowed us. That is exactly what you have. I just can't say enough that, I get questioned about this all the time. And people generally will say things like, well, I'm sure. I mean, you're a small school, and so you've got your top, 20 kids, and they're all taking 7 tests, and so that's where all your qualifying scores come from. It's like, no. I mean, well, some of them come there, but the numbers don't lie. And that when we've got, well over half of every single affinity group that is that we are tracking, that is score. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I mean, the students are the ones taking the test, but it is that culture, it is that comfort level, it is the way that you guys have set up that high school that I would bet you isn't replicated anywhere close, public or private school in this state.
Yep.
I concur.
It's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Super proud of what you've all done. I mean, the teachers, when you look at some of these classes and you see the progress of not only improving the scores, but improving the volume of students coming in to the class and improving the scores, it's exactly what we talked about. We talked about excellence in the building, and that's what they're doing. So congratulations to everybody involved.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, this year we should administer around 1,045 AP exams, and that number just keeps expanding. As you can see, in 2020, we had 704. That was the pandemic year, and that was all digital. And so, I didn't think we would break the 1,000 mark, but we have.
That's great.
That is an investment we are willing to keep making.
Yep.
Thank you. I think our families and our students are very proud of that investment. This Friday, we will be recognizing our students that earned a qualifying score at the end of the day in the gymnasium and taking a group picture and kind of, again, giving them some encouraging words of job well done. So
That's great.
I think another thing, I just want to say it again, I want to say this. We used to have the students come.
right, we did. It got
And
too
so,
big.
like, when my kids graduated, the group came.
Right.
And, they were here, and we had our little thing.
Right.
And, then we were like, oh, gosh, we'll have to go from the boardroom into the, and I mean, it is so crazy now that we can't even, it's
If we were
just,
to do that this year, Mrs. DeGay, it would be 200 students. In this room. I don't think you could say 200.
200, and we start with, I believe, 37? Is that right? 17, 37?
I didn't hear
Our
you.
first year?
oh, I don't know, that
first-
2010 banner, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah, it
doesn't
might
have
have been
very many
17,
kids'
yeah.
names on it.
17.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And so
200.
now, this year, the banner
Some
will have
kids pass
200.
more than one, but
Yeah,
a lot of kids do.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it is.
But it's a culture that you all have created,
gosh.
that's the thing to do.
right.
Take tougher classes versus what goes on in many
Right.
places of how can we find the easiest schedule.
Right. And
And so kudos to all of you for the culture that's created that.
thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
and-
we have really tried to create a balance with our kids because, if a student comes in and says, hey, this is really challenging or this is difficult, our counselors do a really good job in talking them through that, but still having an exit ramp if it is truly, something that we need to make an adjustment with. So we make adjustments, generally around midterm if a student is really struggling in a class. But oftentimes we say, they stay the course, that they work with the teacher, they stay in the class, and they're all the better for it. So
I think another thing, your example really brings home, it's not like, we got no one out on the athletic fields and no one on the courts and because they're so
Right.
studious and can't
Yeah.
do anything because they take
Right.
AP classes. I mean, so again, that is part of, what we figured out how to do
right,
here.
that culture, that balance, absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome to go. All right. If you don't want to hang around for the rest of the stuff. Thanks so much. Thank you. Well, it's hard to imagine topping anything going on, but we actually, the next item on our agenda is a report on the Summer Parks program, and this is pretty sweet stuff too. So a little bit different vibe, but same kind of really exciting numbers and news.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I always love coming in front of the board and thanking the school board for allowing the Speedway Parks Department to partner with schools. This partnership helps enrich not only our Speedway students and children, but also the community as a whole. I've got some points here in reference to that. We have the Rec Basketball League that's starting up soon, the Spring Volleyball League, which we started 2 springs ago, and that's become quite popular. The West Indy Art and Music Festival, that's a parks event that we hold, but thanks to the schools to allow us to use Wheeler Elementary as a warm-up area for the bands. We have an all-day event. There's 7 bands, community bands that come, and having that facility for these older musicians, a lot of these community bands have a lot of retired musicians in there, has been instrumental to getting them to the gazebo safely. In addition to that, we have opportunities for students to volunteer, and we had some of the student groups volunteer to help us this year. Girls soccer was one of them, and music boosters. Light the Night on Main is another thing where we partner with the schools, and both choirs from the junior high and the high school perform at Light the Night. That's always the first Wednesday of December. Trunk or Treat, we just got approval to utilize the parking lot again at the high school to have that fun event every year. That's scheduled for October 26th. And we offer the free swim lessons. I don't even know how long that's been going on. My kids did it when they were little, and they're in their mid-20s now, and I believe it was going on way before that. And then, of course, our summer camps. And one of the handouts that you were given is the participation numbers of the summer camps. And I want to thank Coach Bennett for that. He puts this together for me each year. He also secures our adult and student coaches, as well as does the work permit submissions for all the students that work for the Parks Department. So I'm very grateful for his help on that. If you notice, this year our participation numbers for the summer camps was 310 participants in the regular summer camps that are held here at the school. On the back side of this handout, I had added a Speedway Unplugged camp, which has been quite popular. That's a combination effective communication along with life skills. And each day they do some different element of life skill, and we incorporate effective communication with that. This year, even though we had kind of a small number, it was my favorite group. They all were very engaged. We had a very good time, and I'm looking forward to continuing that program and hopefully having more kids involved. We always have a cooking day. They have a domestic day of sewing or something along those lines, possibly gardening, sometimes vehicle maintenance, bicycle maintenance. This year, the weather was pretty hot, and we were unable to get someone to help us do a demonstration on a tire change, so we shifted gears and we did home cleaning. We went through a day of that where the kids got to do some science experiments with stain remover, different forms of stain remover. So that was a lot of fun. We also offer a junior running club. That is actually ran by the running club, the Speedway Running Club volunteers. They run that camp for me every year. That's held at Leonard Park. And we had 94 participants in the free swim lessons this year, so that was another good number. The other handout I gave you, it kind of summarizes the monetary numbers. The actual program cost for 2024 was $21,067.80. And we appreciate the school's continual approval of subsidizing those numbers for us. We obviously could not have these without your help. We brought in $9,245 of registration money, and so the difference, which will be invoiced to the schools for the camps, is $11,822.80 under the $15,000 approved. And then the swim lessons will be invoiced $4,559.67 under the $7,000 that's been approved. So again, I want to thank you all for continuing to approve that for us. Some of the things I wanted to mention too that Parks offers the schools. volunteer opportunities for school groups. Speedway Music Boosters has kind of stepped up and helped me with parking the past couple of years. The Speedway Redevelopment Commission has allowed the parks to utilize some lots that the town owns to park cars to help raise money for parks. And we could not do parking in all 3 lots without help. And so Speedway Music Boosters has stepped up, helped us, and they've been able to raise, this year they raised over $6,000 in that effort of helping us raise money, which brought in $10,000 to the Parks Department. So that helps both groups. We also waive shelter fees. When any school groups come to us and they want to reserve a shelter to have a meeting, the international group is going to have a picnic there. We do waive those fees for the school groups, so I wanted to let you guys know that. The Speedway High School Spring Swing that Mrs. Mole does every year used to be held in the cafeteria. We now hold it at the gazebo at Meadowood Park. And again, we waive all fees for that, and it's a nice community event. It's a nice venue. People can bring their chairs and come out and enjoy the park and listen to the kids, along with the Starlighters, I believe, is the other band that plays with them. And this year we opened Plaza on Main. I don't know if anyone has seen the stage that's at 14th and Main. We have opened that. And so that is a potential other venue that some of the school groups, I know the music needs to have places to perform. If they ever want to utilize that space, we have that to offer as well. I started my day this morning at the high school at 7 a.m. speaking to the innovations class. They all had wonderful questions. They were very engaged. I went to the junior high at 11 and spoke to that innovations class, and I can't wait to hear what they come up with. We summarized what the Parks Department is about and all the different things that we offer between programming, events, capital improvements, the grounds themselves, the challenges we have. So I'm excited to hear back from Mrs. Ackerman as to what the kids come up with regarding that. And the other thing I would like to announce is tomorrow we have Speedway Public Safety and Service Community Day out at Leonard Park from 5 to 7. That's kind of Speedway's version of National Night Out. The police department will be there grilling hot dogs. The fire department's giving away water. Fun Days donates ice cream that town leaders will be dipping for people, and we have other community groups and services out there that are going to educate the community on what they have to offer. It is a free event. We'll have music out there, as well as a lot of the town vehicles for the kids to get up close and see the fire truck, police cars, tractors, different things that the town uses in our everyday work here to take care of our town. That's all I have.
That's great. Questions or comments, guys?
Thank you for what you do for our town.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's kind of I could gush about this too for a while. It's kind of the other end of the spectrum, and getting the kids out there and involved and doing things is such a critical aspect of our town and our schools. And
Yes.
so, we want those type of kids in our schools, and we want, families in our town to be doing things together, and the work you guys do is outstanding, and we're thrilled to support it.
Well, thank you. Like I told the kids in both innovations classes that I love my job, and having this type of a job, if you enjoy it, you never work a day in your life. Even though I do work hard at it, I still love it, and I wouldn't want this job anywhere else but in this community, which I also live in and play in, and frequent all the small businesses, and I encourage everybody to do the same.
Well, thanks so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
And you too. You also can take off. I have to tell you twice, right? Okay, so the fourth item on the agenda is to approve the appointment to the Speedway Public Library.
Can we do the junior high field trip first?
Yep. Nope.
I can do it the other way.
Oh, number 4 is Public Library.
Yeah.
Perfect. My notes are opposite then. very proud of everything that Tammy does, and the next 1, 2, 3, 4, if you take the last 4 items, it kind of just wraps up what Speedway's all about anyway. The next recommendation is to appoint Sandy Feely to the governing board of the Speedway Public Library. This is a 4-year term. The Board of Education appoints, you guys appoint 3 members to the library board, and the recommendation is to continue Sandy Feely as the appointee.
What's the board's pleasure? Tom?
I'll move that we approve the appointment of Sandy Feely to the Speedway Public Library Board.
Second?
Awesome. Any discussion other than to thank her in advance for her willingness to re-up? Okay. All in favor of the appointment as stated, indicate by raising your hand. Okay, and that passes 4-0. The 5th item that we're eager to get to is to approve the junior high field trip where the bands go to the elementary school.
I'm going to tie all this together in a second, but this is a routine request. Every year, somewhere in August, Amy sends us over with the recommendation for Mr. Roseborough, the junior high, to do a March 7th, I believe is the date on this, for the junior high band to go to all the elementaries. So she puts a lot of work into this, and our junior high band members then go to each elementary. Lions Club usually donates some money for the buses, and we put them on a bus and we go around and they play for them. This is a great recruitment tool, and this is just another testament of what we do in Speedway. It's just a little different, but that's just what we do. So the recommendation is approve this junior high field trip.
I'll make a motion that we approve the junior high band field trip.
I'll second.
Wonderful. Any discussion? I'll just say that, I'm like, no, it can't be March. Thank you, Mrs. Cronin, for getting,
Organization.
yeah. I love approving things months in advance, not
Yep.
days. So that's awesome. Okay, yeah. All in favor of approving this field trip request, indicate by raising your hand. And that passes 4-0. The 6th item is the 24-25 enrollment report.
You got the most updated enrollment report in your packet before we came down here. The current enrollment of Speedway schools is 1,740 students. There's 880 students in our elementary schools, 261 students at the junior high, and 599 at the high school. The reason I say that that's what it is as of today, it changes every day. But the good thing about our enrollment right now is our primary classes are very small, which is great. Our intermediate classes, when I mean intermediate 3 through 6, very small also, with a couple exceptions in there, and those wouldn't be exceptions in any other school district in the state of Indiana. Exception is 26 kids in an intermediate class. Some of them, that's low. For Speedway, it's kind of high. And then in junior high is about what it has been, and the high school is, like we said, it's one of the highest it's been since I've been here. The ADM date is October 1st, so we'll report back to you in the October meeting to let you know what the official ADM was on as of October 1st.
Questions, anybody? Okay, thanks for that, Mr. Disney. The 7th item is to approve contracted services.
We previously approved all of our special needs contractors in June, but one decided to retire in July. In August board meeting, we approved a new contract person to fulfill that role. The next day, that person had some emergencies and could no longer accept the contract. So I wanted to read that to get that correct. So that's what happened. So I'm bringing to you, we usually do this last month, but this is a new occupational therapy service. The recommendation is to approve this contract for the occupational therapist.
I'll move we approve the contract for the occupational therapist.
I'll second.
Wonderful. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the contract for occupational services as indicated, please raise your hand. And that passes 4-0. The 8th item is to approve the WCJS amendment.
Thank you, Madam President. Since 2014, Speedway schools have partnered with the MSD Wayne Township. This is the Sanders School. We do have agreement with them if approved here. On average, it's about $50,000 a student, but these are kids in need of that extra support. So the recommendation is to approve this amendment to the WCJS, which is the West Central Joint Services Special Education Cooperative Fund, which is what we're a part of. So that's the recommendation.
And this is an amendment to the existing agreement.
Correct.
What's the board's pleasure on that? Luke?
I move that we approve the amendment to the WCJS agreement.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? Okay. All in favor of approving the amendment to the West Central Joint Services Special Education Cooperative Agreement, indicate by raising your hand. And that passes 4-0. Does this need to be signed here? Or is that it's not a,
It's me or you.
it's probably
It's
just,
just me.
okay. Okay. The next item is to approve the Ameriflex plan renewal / maximum deduction.
This is a great thing for our teachers. The maximum deduction has been raised, and we're moving that. And the recommendation is to $3,200 for employees for a flexible spending account and $5,000 for a dependent care account. If a member leaves in the middle of the year and uses their Ameriflex money, then the corporation usually has to pay the remainder of that amount, but it kind of goes on the other side too. It's a rare occasion, but it does happen from time to time. I think this is a great thing for our employees, and the recommendation is to approve the Ameriflex renewal for our employees.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Ameriflex plan renewal.
I'll second.
Wonderful. Any discussion there? Again, anything that's great for the employees is,
Yep.
we can't approve it fast enough. So all in favor of approving the Ameriflex plan renewal and maximum deduction, indicate by raising your hand. And that passes 4-0. Okay, number 10, we need to approve project resolution. Plural. Eric Long with Ice Miller here to talk to us about that.
Indeed. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board administration. It's my pleasure to continue serving and to be here tonight. We have 2 resolutions for consideration. Just to quickly recap, this board in May and June held preliminary determination hearings for the proposed project, which will result in bond issuance later this year. Waited the requisite 30 days, and we're moving on to just continue that process. So 2 resolutions for consideration this evening. One is to approve the form of the lease agreement. So in your board packets, you do have a proposed lease agreement with the Speedway Multi-School Building Corporation. We're funding this proposed project through a building corporation lease financing, which is the common vehicle used by school corporations across the state of Indiana to borrow for school construction, renovation, improvements. And this is the type of financing that does not count against the school corporation's constitutional debt allowance. So the proposal is that at closing, the building corporation would own the real estate where at least a portion of the project would be constructed, and then through this lease agreement would be able to repay the bonds. And the lease rental is shown as a maximum amount in the lease is sufficient to pay the principal and interest due to bondholders, and is in line with what was approved as the maximum parameters back in May and June.
Okay. Use this one. Oh, yeah. So what is the board's pleasure? No, do I read this now? Am I supposed to read this thing now? No. Yeah, do we have any
Just approve
questions?
Exhibit A.
Oh, it would just be a recommendation for a motion and a second to
For
approve.
Exhibit A and B
for the
together?
Exhibit A resolution individually, and then we'll vote separately on Exhibit B.
Okay, and so like this part here, does that actually need to be? No?
Just need a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the form of lease agreement, which is Exhibit A.
I'll second.
Okay, do we have any discussion on that?
This lease agreement is with a group of individuals who are not part of the board or school administration, correct?
That is correct.
And these individuals or their replacements are to serve for the term of the bond?
Yes, so at least the term of the bonds would be the term of the lease agreement. The building corporation directors will meet on an annual basis to either continue on in their roles. They do have the option to resign at some point, in which case we'd have the board name a replacement if that were to occur.
Yes, and I guess I'm going to say out loud that we, the board, have reviewed the proposed form of the lease, and, yeah, since that's in here. And I think that document we later signed certifies that we said that. So, great, okay.
And I would also add that we would come back in October to actually execute that lease agreement. This is just approving the form of it so that we can have it on file, and to, take the time in between the two meetings to be able to discuss, entertain questions, et cetera.
And I guess I would say to just the public that if I'm not inspiring confidence right now because I'm reading all this, it's just a lot. But we've spent this considerable time making sure that we totally get what we're doing, understand the documents themselves, and feel really comfortable about this path of moving forward. And so thank you for all of the, just the patience with explaining to us. But we are a board that, does not want to rubber stamp things, and we have really dug into this. So I appreciate all of your time and patience.
And that while this sounds unusual, this is very much the standard in the state of Indiana, and it's best practice considering the numbers involved.
Yeah.
Indeed, it's a financing vehicle that's used by school corporations across the state. It just happens to be that the School Town of Speedway hasn't had financing needs of this magnitude in some time, so it's the first time that we've looked at the building corporation financing vehicle.
Yes.
Ironically, to replace the last time we did this, I believe.
Exactly. So, okay, well, then I'm going to call for a vote unless there's further discussion. Good? Okay. All in favor of approving the form of lease agreement, please indicate by raising your hand. And that passes 4-0. And then all in favor of approving the building corporation, please indicate by raising your hand. And again, that passes 4-0.
I do need your signature.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
you.
you.
We keep that together, please. Two.
Okay, the 11th item on our agenda is to approve the bid for the maintenance building.
Encloses information regarding the recommendation to award the bid package 01 for the maintenance building. The recommendation is to approve this from Morton Building Incorporated at a base amount of $288,971 with an additional alternate one value of $5,847, bringing the total to $294,818.
I move that we approve the bid for the maintenance building.
I'll second.
Wonderful. Any discussion on that?
When would we start that project?
The engagement letter will go out tomorrow, and the due date is, we're hoping to have it done middle of December. So it's going to be done immediately.
Okay.
It will start immediately on that piece.
Okay.
So we can store our equipment under roof.
Right.
Before
we have to
January, yeah.
work on the other parts. Okay.
Yes.
Did we sign this thing right here?
You need to sign both of them.
No, this is something else. I
No,
think.
there's two or three.
Okay,
Can we prove that? I'll just have him stay, make sure we sign everything we need to.
okay. Yeah, all in favor, we didn't vote on this yet, right?
Yeah, I need to vote.
Okay. All in favor of approving the bid for the maintenance building as stated, indicate by raising your hand. And that passes 4-0. Okay. Congratulations, Morton Building. The next item is acknowledgement, nope, the next item is number 12, report on the Speedway project, School Town Speedway projects.
Well, thank you, Madam President and Board. It's my, with happiness, to bring to you some pictures now that what we've been talking about for at least the last year, and I think I've been hearing about this since I've been here in 2014. But if we can go ahead and go to the PowerPoint or to the slide, this is a rendering of the outbuilding that really everything's driven from. So, for example, underneath our bleachers now, they're in concrete, that was built in 1961, 62, they're falling apart. Well, that's where our locker rooms is, the concession stands, the bathrooms, our maintenance barn. And as we keep going through the meetings, we'll continue to build on this to see why some of these things and the directions we're going on this. So this is on the south, I'm sorry, this will be on the south end zone, and this south end zone is next to the apartments. This is a rendering of what our locker rooms and that facility will look like. The new end zone building is what it's called, a little over 11,000 square feet. Inside of this building, we had to replace both sides of the locker rooms or the bleachers, which had all those things in it. So instead of having two, we now have one for that purpose. So as you can see in the new end zone building, locker rooms for multi-purpose locker room, the football, team meeting rooms, training room, athletic director's office, coaches' offices, home visitors, concessions. There's a concession stands on both sides, a laundry, uniform storage room, public restrooms, and support space, of course, mechanic rooms. So that is the end zone building, and we'll bring more information as we go. We're also going to post this online so people can see this. So you don't think I'm rushing through this. It'll be on our website underneath a new part, underneath board and projects. So you can click on that. By tomorrow, hopefully everything will be up and running. So not just the bleachers, but our track was down to the last grind, and Eric Roseborough is here with me, so if you want to jump up and say anything, please do. But the track and field, the surface area itself, we were down to, again, to the last grind. So a new field, a new track was going to have to be put in place. So a new 8-lane running track. With that, the decision to move forward with the synthetic turf field, with the new bleachers, upgraded electrical service, the stadium lights, new track perimeter fencing, and the storage building that we just approved that will be outside next to the fire department, where what we call is kind of like the C area for soccer field. So all this is in the Project A, along with ADA, sidewalks to the softball field and the baseball, and then other cosmetics things that we're going to do to the outside area. And again, this is just for the Project A, so if you can just hang with me here, we'll move forward and we'll get to all the things that we're looking at in this project. So again, that's a nice picture of a rendering. We have not shown this to anybody yet, but that will be very, very close. There are some alternates that are going to be bidded on that. So I think it's going to look real nice on the south end zone there outside the track. There's a picture of the track where the end zone's going to be, and it's basically the same setup as what we've had already where it's going to be. The Project C, let me minimize here for a second so you can see where we're at, is the addition to 3 gyms that will be used not just for gyms. When you say gyms, of course, or football fields, we'll be using those for soccer, for the community, for band days. And we, as you could see, and what I wanted to get to on the first 4 agenda items are 5, number 2, 3. We talk about AP programs, we talk about the band, we talk about the library, and it just makes me happy to think about Speedway as a community, that we tie all this together. We're at a school board meeting, but we talk about the library. We talk about, of course, everything from academics to athletics. So these facilities, again, although they seem like athletics, we also have a lot of parts of this that's going to be used for the band and all areas of our community. So I'm excited about that. You can see the 3 field and where that's positioned right now with Schmidt Architects, still working with them, Meyer Nasium and Veritas. They've done a tremendous job, and we're just continuing to work away for Project C to get this lined up where it needs to go. It lines up with the utilities, and there's just so much that goes on underneath these buildings that we have to make sure we're right before we move forward on that. So you can see that the weight room is where the old Ox Gym is. I'll pause so you can see that, and I'll blow that up a little bit here. So that's the Ox Gym now, and that will be transformed into a little over 4,000 square foot weight room, which will not be the biggest one in our conference right now and where we're going, but it's at 4,000 square feet is a really nice weight room, along with some offices. We try to minimize that and put mainly where students are going to be, to a lobby and a space with the area. Did that last time, too. And some additional bathrooms for the public, because if this is going to turn into a community place where we want to have our Speedway students on the weekends be, we want to make sure we can lock off our school and still have restrooms available to the public. So that most of this is the same, a little bit of storage, but, you know, our team has done a tremendous job going over every inch of this thing, trying to maximize what we can do for what our limits are. And folks, that's Project C. So we have Project A, which is going to be the outside, and we're going to call that the football area for right now, but it's also the soccer, again, the band. We're going to be using that field as much as we can for the community. And we'll have Project C, which is the three basketball courts. And there's a little bit of a pencil drawing of the rendering. We're still working on alternates to try to get our price where it needs to be on that one. So I didn't want to show too many of the bells and the whistles if that doesn't happen, but there is going to be 3 courts, and that's in the plan right now. So I'm going to do 3 more things, and then I'll be quiet and you can ask me any questions you'd like at this time. The completion dates for Project A, we're looking at starting in October of 2024, which is, we're in September of 2024. So the trucks will be rolling in next month-ish, and that's when the start of construction is going to happen. That's why we approved the maintenance barn already, so we can store our equipment and whatnots throughout the winter. And the completion date right now is August 1st of 2025. Our first home varsity football game is, we'll call it August 15th. So there's a little bit of a gap, but we are going to be pushing, so we're going to really doing a lot of prayers for the weather. So August 1st of 2025 for Project A. Project C will come in later. And the schedule is we'll begin that in January, probably depending on the weather. The complete design will be in January. The March after the weather will be when the start of the construction is. And that will be about a year that will be under construction for the 3 basketball courts. So we'll have about a year or so, year and a half, 2 years here of under construction. But I think the end result's going to be worth it for that. Now, this is all the fun things that are the renderings and pictures and whatnot. And for the board and I, these are the other issues that we have going on. That's going to be, I don't have pictures for you unless you want me to put a boiler replacement piece on there, which maybe down the road we'll do that. But Allison, Wheeler, and Newbie, just kind of wrap those all together. Our HVAC and boiler replacement, especially of Allison and Wheeler. We have roofs on the plan for half of Wheeler, like we talked about back in January. This is basically the same list that we showed if you go back to the beginning meetings that are still on this. The junior high, there's lintels to be fixed into the structures of junior high and Fisher. And that's probably a bullet point we should just stop on for a while and talk that's important to us to make sure we get those fixed. We don't have pictures of that, but that's important to make sure that our buildings are going to maintain and continue. Our junior high and Fisher, that gym floor, I don't have the exact date on that, but we're down to the last grind on the new gym. As the nails, eventually you have to replace that. The chiller at the high school, we've been talking about that for 5 to 6 years. We do have a rainy day to if something ever happened to that immediately, but in 2 more days, maybe the weather breaks and we don't have to use it as much for the rest of 2024. Yeah, right. The high school auditorium, the curtain, there's little things in this that we want to upgrade. Jordan Auditorium with the stage floor, the parking lot outside the high school once we're done with all of our projects. We'd like to have a nice, clean, crisp parking lot for everybody to be able to drive on, as that's falling apart anyway. They call that alligating, and it's starting to happen in the front, the alligator parts. Dedicated band practice area. The band right now practices in the parking lot, but if the field house or the 3 additional gyms go up, we're going to make sure that we have a spot for the band that can still practice outside of their area. They can also use the turf, but I know Amy would like to still have an area close by with all their equipment. And with some band storage, including that into some projects down the road into the high school, and just storage areas for the soccer, baseball, softball. And in general, this last bullet point is a big one, the integration of new building management systems throughout the corporation. And folks, that's not a cheap one. That is high, that's very expensive right now. Eric's finding out that we have a lot of different languages going on running our buildings. So to clean that up is something that will be great for this future, for the next decades and decades and decades. So this is the list that will also start, not this winter, but we'll start some of these into next summer, focusing on the boilers. So we could have 2 or 3 elementaries under construction for the next 2 years. So that's kind of the plan. It's a 2-year plan to get these lined up. And we're just excited. So we've been talking about this for a long time. So it's on a list, and we're ready to roll with this. So thank you for your time on that. I'll answer any questions.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
We'll keep bringing more updates each month.
The next item on the agenda is to acknowledge the $109,237.69 in grants received. And then the 14th item is to approve the personnel report.
Personnel report for September has a retirement of Linda Grove. She's been working in technology, and she's been working in Speedway schools for 31 years, and she will be retiring on October 31st of this year. She'll surely be missed. Disability leave, we have 3 teachers that have applied for disability leave. Christina Menendez at Wheeler, 2nd grade teacher. Sierra Norris, 1st grade teacher at Wheeler. And Calicia Sims, a 3rd grade teacher at Newby. For long-term substitute teachers, we have Peggy Kaiser, and she is going to be a 2nd grade teacher at Wheeler. Patty Bach. Patty will help us once again. She'll be a 3rd grade teacher at Newby. And then under employment is Darlene Mack. Darlene is going to be a cafeteria worker at Speedway High School for 6 hours. Darren Dantzler is a 7th grade boys basketball coach at Speedway Junior High School. Larry Devin Nance is moving from the 7th grade boys basketball coach to the 8th grade boys basketball coach at the junior high school. Then Irish Riquet is being recommended as an English language teacher at Speedway High School. We're excited to have Iris. And then last is a volunteer coach, Brian Williams, and Brian will be working as a volunteer coach with the Speedway Junior High School football team. My recommendation is to approve the personnel report as presented.
I'll move that we approve the personnel changes as recommended.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Thank you once again to Patty Bach for continuing to serve.
It's hard to find teachers at this time of year to take those kind of positions, so it's very grateful.
All in favor of approving the personnel report as presented, indicate by raising your hand. And that passes 4-0. Recognition of visitors. Hello, hello. Do we have any other business?
Nope.
I would say to the community that between now and the next time we meet, the board will be attending the State School Board Conference, which is something that takes place in Indianapolis. And, you know, it's a series of meetings and workshops and time together with other boards, but, you know, that we take our continuing education and, you know, qualification to continue in these positions very seriously. So that happens in a week and a half or so.
Yep.
So, okay, we'll adjourn to sign claims. Thanks.